Hey, this is the Nature Boy Ric Flair, and believe it or not, whether you like it or don't like it, learn to love it, because you have to listen to Wrestling is Real. It is the best thing going today. Woo!
The worldwide leader of podcasting excellence, the king of podcasts radio network proudly presents The Wrestling is Real podcast, because wrestling needs us.
This is episode 826 of the program. King of Podcasts here with you. We're in the start of Wrestlemania season. The road to Wrestlemania has begun. And look, I might have to just take a minute or two just to talk about Vince McMahon because, you know, there's a lot of shows that want to talk about it right now anyway. You know, that's fine. If you want to go ahead and talk about that, and you know, you're welcome to. I could care less. It doesn't matter to me, okay? It doesn't. When it comes to Vince McMahon, Thursday night, when the report came out from the Wall Street Journal about more allegations, not even more allegations, the fact that Janelle Grant has now been named in the lawsuit. We now know the identity of the young lady that was part of the $3 million secret hush money pact. We know that. That's the only bit of news we got at all together from the news that we had on Thursday. And the only news that matters, listen, we're 66 days from WrestleMania as I record this tonight. I don't care to talk more about Vince McMahon and if he's going to be going down or not. And to act like I'm going to be some kind of, you know, sanctimonious savior here that, the horrible, drastic, tragic, disgusting display on women. Yeah, I know that. Listen, what are you telling me about Vince McMahon I don't already know? All right? So don't give me that. Can we just move along to WrestleMania? Listen, for Vince McMahon, he's not going to get charged. I mean, if he's going to get charged, he's not going to be convicted. He's not going to jail. Okay? For all of you that fantasize that think that Vince McMahon is going to go away for life, no, because he's got enough money to keep himself out. What he will do, most likely, is that Ms. Janelle Grant will most likely get a bigger payment. There will be another settlement out of court thanks to TKO Group Holdings, and that's going to be it. So she's going to get her day in court, or won't, and will be mediated into a settlement, and then she'll just get paid more. That's it. Now, the texts that everybody's talking about that's been rambling around, I have not read them. I don't need to read them. I can imagine what he's saying to John Laurinaitis and others. I get it. It doesn't matter to me. But let's just talk about the information that is out there that we do know. That is information that we could go ahead and talk about that I'll be willing to go ahead and bring up. Okay? There's only one thing I would even consider to go ahead and bring up at all when it comes to all this, and that is that TKO Group Holdings in their SEC filing, they have confirmed in an 8K form with the SEC on Monday that Vince McMahon has tendered his resignation. That's it. So he's resigned his position as the board of directors of TKO Group Holdings, his resignation as executive chair and member of the board, and any other positions, implement or otherwise. So he's out. The McMahon, through deadline, put out a statement after the fact. He commented, that's what happened after all this. Quote, I stand by my prior statement that Ms. Grant's lawsuit is replete with lies, obscene made-up instances that never occurred, and it's a vindictive distortion of the truth. I intend to vigorously defend myself against these baseless accusations and look forward to clearing my name. That's it. That's where we are today. Nothing else has gone on. Nothing else. And Nick Khan told staffers in an internal email that McMahon had resigned and will no longer have a role with TKO Group Holdings or WWE in the future. Fine. But that's all we got left. Everything else has been reported by the Wall Street Journal. Done. We're not going to go back on this program and rehash. If you want to hear more Vince McMahon swill, go to another program. There are plenty of them out there. Okay, I can point you to a couple. All right? You want to go listen to John Pollock or Brandon Thurston, the WrestleNomics Post Wrestling? Go listen to them. JD from New York. You want to go listen to him talk about it? Go right ahead to your heart's content. But I thought we want to talk about wrestling on this program. Yeah, Vince McMahon, the downfall, the possible downfall. Yeah, whatever. You guys like that palace intrigue. Good for you. Okay. I'm not here to get some kind of vendetta because Vince McMahon screwed up my creative for like the last 20 years. I could give a shit. What matters to me is what I said on Thursday. I'll just say it one more time. What is disgusting is not only the fact that given that all these facts, all the lawsuit is entailing that Janelle Grant has said in the case, okay, with all that there, let's say it's all true. The problem is that, it still comes down to the fact that McMahon agreed to pay her $3 million to keep their sexual relationship quiet if she signed an NDA, and that's it. She took the payoff. She signed the NDA. But now there must be more to this. But the problem is that the Wall Street Journal, Joe Palazzo and Ted Mann, I will keep saying their names. If you're going to be willing to go ahead and put Janelle Grant's name out there for everyone, then I'll go ahead and just keep saying their names because they're the ones that decided to go ahead and put her name out there. They decided to go and put her name out there and give that. And I don't care what the Bellas are saying about it. I don't care what anyone else says about anything else, okay? Let's talk to the parties that are actually talking about it. Because Wall Street Journal has not reported anything else since, right? Nothing else. As far as I know, I don't think there's anything else that's been said by her. I'm looking right now and, there's not much else being said. Okay, you want to go ahead and talk about the areas of the texts? You go right ahead. And so that's all this is going on. I just don't want to worry about it. And it's just, whatever. It's just sleaze. And it's a shame that this has come to this point. But listen, Vince McMahon made a mistake here. You are paying a woman off to go ahead and about what you did with her. I'm not even going to talk about it anymore. I'm just going to leave it alone. Can't. And Ann Callis, by the way, I will make this point across. She emphasized the physical and mental toll that Grant has taken on. She spoke with Law and Crime Network since we last talked. Okay. Quote, what happened to her and what we allege left her physically and mentally and absolutely destroyed. You think the lawsuit isn't helping to regurgitate this? And so she is trying to recover and she believes this is the first step. Yeah, more money. Are we trying to get more money here, Ann? Or are we just trying to go ahead and get him? Do you honestly believe that you're going to get your client? You think your client is going to get her accuser, her attacker, her, whatever you want to call him. Do you think you're going to get him to spend the day in jail? Or is it just a payday? I want to know. You want to, that's what I want to find out. And was it really wonderful for you to go ahead and talk about her being absolutely destroyed? Okay, now she has to go ahead and confront Vince McMahon either in a mediation or a courtroom. How's that going to feel? Sure, confront your accuser. But she don't want to go ahead and be a part of that. And also, so she wasn't involved in the investigation previous, the internal investigation. Okay, well then still. I'm spending more time on this than I plan to do. I don't know. I'm doing it because I know some people are going to ask about this. And, King of Podcasts, hey, why don't you go ahead and talk about it, man? Like everybody else is talking about it. All right, fine. I'll give you a few more minutes of it. And that's it. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Because then what is McMahon's going to have to do? His legal team already is reporting they're going to mount a robust defense against the accusations. So, you're going to make Janelle Grant go through a trial. She's going to get her name thrown through the mud. And I say this just as the movie Disclosure had said in 1995, right? 1994. Michael Douglas, Demi Moore, great movie, by the way, if you haven't watched it. I just remember that, the attorney for Michael Douglas's character, she's like, okay, all they're going to remember is that you did something sleazy. That's it. And Janelle Grant is going to be thrown into the wolves. I mean, she shouldn't have to go through all this. Ann Callis, go for a settlement. Threaten him out of court and tell him, listen, you need to take care of her. You need to pay her. Fine. Yes. Hit him where it hurts. His bank account. Hit him where it hurts. Millions more dollars. Fine. Is that what you want to do? Good. And if it's because he did what he did, even better. All right? This wasn't a good situation for anyone. I've already said enough. I'm not going to say any more. We're going to leave it alone. It's poison, that story. Do you understand? God, man, I hate it. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the Royal Rumble. So I made a few points that I wrote down, and I want to go ahead and take them as the first points into the night as we start off. So I made a couple points in the show description. I'm going to read it real quick. So the Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes segment. We know that Cody Rhodes and Bayley did not announce who they're going to face at WrestleMania. Of course, they want to stall. That's fine. Raw gets almost 2 million viewers for it at the very beginning. That's great. People were interested about CM Punk and the fact that, well, he is legitimately hurt. So, yeah. People got quiet about CM Punk now, huh? All that talk. Oh, WWE, hey, you know what? You want to get him back out there full-fledged. He's going to go out there and do the WrestleMania main event. He's going to get his moment. All that stuff. 2 months, broken. Do you understand that, CM Punk, didn't he get hurt 3 times? Wasn't he injured 3 different times in AEW? And who knows what else he had? The thing is that you want to continue to go and keep using out there as a wrestler. You waited too long. At least for AEW, they got a chance to work with him. And yeah, he got hurt a couple of times, but at least he was out there long enough to really make a difference. What has he done so far? He gets hurt. He doesn't have the stamina to be able to go out there and go work that full roster. Okay, he did when he first left. But 10 years later, what do you expect of him? Oh, let's go ahead and dye his hair, not so old. Don't show any of that, right? Make him look a little bit younger. Make him look like the CM Punk of old. Get him out there and do all his work. And even in the Rumble match, he couldn't stay healthy. It's unfortunate, but yeah, tricep. Here we go. On the shelf. On the shelf. Legit. So now we don't have CM Punk in the mix anymore. Let's go ahead and rely back on the talent that comes back from the old, right? Because CM Punk would have been at least, a part-time talent? I mean, was he going to work full-time like he did before? I don't know. You had been very few appearances. And then he comes out, returns 10 years after the previous Rumble in 2014, and hurt. So scrap the plans for CM Punk into WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes, go finish your story. Because that was the part that Cody did. Oh, and then Seth Rollins decides to come on out. And the storyline's fine. I think they did a good job of trying to go ahead and give the explanation. I get it. So I got to go and take a clip real quick from when Seth Rollins did talk about encouraging Cody Rhodes to and give me the mindset, the logic that really says, okay, logically, Cody Rhodes wants to go and take on Roman Reigns again and dethrone the 1,267 some odd day tribal chief, the undisputed Universal Champion. Okay, tell me what sounds more appealing. The championship that's been held for 3.5 years, or Seth Rollins has held on to it for 8 months. 6 months, right? Wasn't it in July? So yeah. I mean, why? Seth Rollins makes a good argument. I'll play that. I'll play it. But I still think it's not enough. It's a nice try, though. But we'll go and play this quick clip. Here we go.
The Hollywood title, the Hulk Hogan title, the one for posers and frauds, the title for people who politic their way to the top. Or do you want the Dusty Rhodes title?
Like you're talking about like WCW, okay? When Hollywood Hogan was the champion. Oh, so, we prefer to go after the U.S. title? I mean, TV titles in the trash at that time. Like, it's like, okay, the secondary belt. And this is the part where you can't tell me, and no matter how much you try, you can't feasibly tell me that the World Heavyweight title, no matter how good Seth Rollins is going to be measured at the level of the undisputed Universal Championship. No. Everybody knows. It's Roman Reigns you need to beat to be a made person for life. And you are etched in the annals of WWE history, okay? That's the whole point. But let me tell you something. For Vince's flaws creatively and taking long and way too long to go ahead and pull the trigger on some things that would happen and making certain stars, well, eventually Roman Reigns got there. Took longer than expected, but he did get there. But Triple H suffers from the same thing as well. Like, we got main eventers right now that are in a good place. Okay, listen, Cody, for this time around, we're 2 years into his run here, coming up on his 2-year run. And so far, he's been booked well. I mean, they have not buried him. They have not done anything to make him fall, inferior. Cody's been booked well enough that he can go ahead and go back after Roman Reigns, and they can feasibly let him win. He's believable to be able to beat Roman Reigns. Let's just say it like that. I would prefer that Cody and Roman get to face each other. I really do. Nothing said about The Rock either, right? But then Seth tries to go ahead and make the pitch. See, no one has been feasibly made an opponent for Seth Rollins. You know why? Because listen, he has finished the roster. Like that side of the roster that he has right now, he's taking on all comers. There's not a lot of names left on the Raw side for him to go after. But that's because we didn't need the second belt in the first place. Okay? We never needed the World Heavyweight title. It was nice to have the tournament. It was nice to go ahead and have the belt laid out. Great. But we had two belts combined thanks to the Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns winner take all match at WrestleMania to create that, because that was their only way to go ahead and write themselves out of the whole day one fiasco they had that earlier the part of the year prior, right? So as long as they did that, then they had to go and find their way. Well, how are we going to write ourselves out of this one? Well, now Triple H is holding the pen. And I don't know if it's cold feet or not. Or if you're just going to go ahead and just use the Vince method and just kind of just stall until we finally get the match we're supposed to get. Instead of actually just getting us Cody and Roman setting the WrestleMania main event. We know it's going to be on the second night, and just start building to it. So we just can't build to it. Again, we have 9 weeks coming up now. You're telling me you can't build enough and keep the anticipation and the momentum going long enough to get ourselves to there? See, the problem is that, they want to go and wait till Elimination Chamber and then start building up to everything else. I get it. Yeah, Perth, right. So Elimination Chamber, you get to the 4 weeks, and then we get 5 weeks, whatever, to build up towards WrestleMania. I mean, they don't care because they already sold out Philadelphia, basically, for both nights. They're not worried about that part. They don't want to go and build for 8-9 weeks when they already have a match all set in place. No, they're going to wait. And we don't even know what the Elimination Chamber is going to be coming up with, because in 4 weeks, we have no matches set. But we need to go and get an answer fast enough to go and realize, okay, so what are the Elimination Chamber matches going to be for? We can't just have the match, just have the match. Is the World Heavyweight title contender going to be found in this match? Are we going to put one of the titles on the line in this match? Even on the women's side? We don't know. It would have been nice to go and start building up to that for 4 weeks, because you got a big crowd in Australia coming up, and let's just start building up to it, because WrestleMania time. What are we waiting for? Like, they just gave us Fallout for Royal Rumble. Fine. But to stall like Vince would, then you're just not changing the game up. Like Triple H, let's go. I mean, one of the things I will admit that with Tony Khan, I do like the fact that he will move forward and progress storylines. Like, he doesn't really go overly slow on things. He does on some, kind of even on purpose. Like the whole MJF Adam Cole thing. Hey, the payoff was fine to me. I know some people want to shit on it, but Undisputed, yeah, that payoff was fine. I thought it was good. No problem there. They're building quite a bit of time right now with Adam Page and Swerve Strickland to find out who's going to take on Samoa Joe at Revolution for their world title. Hey, great. And I'm along for that too. And they have other matches they're going to be setting up, and they're taking their time. They're building up. They're doing things. And that's besides what they're doing with the mid-card. But we'll talk about the mid-card part in a moment. Right now, we're talking about what I said was going to be on the show tonight. The main event rumbles, right? So it's like earth-shattering. You got some really good matches to be set up, to be had. It's just time to go ahead and start saying, okay, here's the match it's going to be. Let's start building up. And look, Jeremy Borash and, the folks over there, we're doing some new things to the production and how we're doing our vignettes and stuff. So they're going to be more NXT style, right? Okay, so Chelsea and Piper confront Katana Chance and Casey. I forget their names now. Kaden Carter, Katana Chance. I'm sorry. It's just, give me some better names, please. But anyway, there we go. Okay, so we're going to do some extra things with this. Oh, DIY, look at them with a power, like real, powerful kind of babyface promo. And then they get buried. They lose to Judgment Day. But again, mid-card. We'll talk about that in a little bit. The main event side is this. All right. So Cody, I mean, why does he want to go ahead and be given the choice? And why would the crowd want to eat it up? Because, I mean, you're a wrestling fan. You don't want him to go after just a title. He could probably just beat Seth Rollins to win it. But there's no heat between them. Cody and Roman have all the heat. I mean, any, first-rate wrestling booker, you want the match with the heat. So Cody and Roman, you build the heat up right up again. Same thing. I mean, the one thing I think I'm going to get a little bit tired of with Roman right now is he's always so damn cocky with every match he has. He's like, I'm going to smash him. Like, he never gets, intimidated or feels like he's going to get scared. Like, when does he have that? Brock? But who else does he have that with? When he had Fatal 4-Way, get me out of this match. But, seriously, Roman never felt like he was being intimidated or if he was scared that he was going to lose. You never feel that feeling. Never felt that with Randy Orton. Never felt that with John Cena. Well, I guess maybe. But who? Never felt that with Seth. Like, my thing is, I wish Seth didn't have this title. I wish he was going after Roman. They never told the story about him and the Shield, and just the whole idea of where Seth got the chance to either be a Money in the Bank holder once again or win the Royal Rumble and cash in another chance at Roman and tell the story. Hey, remember when I had, the triple threat in there? And remember you had that match? And I stole it right from underneath you as the architect, right? And go back to that. You can keep Seth the babyface, but then just make him crafty. Make him just realize, I still have a way to get around you. I know your number. I know how to go and get to you. I can sneak in without you even knowing it, right? It's the same thing that goes with me, if you're going to have the World Heavyweight title, I wish it wasn't Seth Rollins holding it. I'll tell you like this. Logan Paul should have that belt. Now, we're not going to get to that point. But my point is that Logan Paul holding that belt and being that champion, it would kind of give the value of what the title really is. Seth Rollins elevates it because he's the workhorse, right? But, I mean, why are we going to call that title the workhorse title? Because Gunther is, right? Gunther elevates the IC title. He's had it for 500 and some odd days. That makes sense to me. Still going to find him an opponent. But now, if Brock's not coming back, who do you got for him? We don't have an answer for Gunther. What are you going to do? And that's something I got as another issue as well. Like, honestly, I just wish, you know what I would love is this. Let Cody face Roman and Gunther and Seth winner take all. Give me that. And then basically, if Seth loses and Gunther wins, then Gunther gets to swallow the title into the IC title. And he holds on to both. And the World Heavyweight title becomes, non-existent again. There should only be one belt in this company. One heavyweight title. Not the two belts again. Because of the both brands. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I prefer not to have that. I mean, I don't want to go and start comparing AEW, but like honestly, they have the TNT champion and the international title that they basically manage over on the Collision show. And then Dynamite basically has the World Heavyweight champion, right? For the most part. Maybe a little bit of crossover, but like seriously, like nobody really cares about the whole brand split. I like what Tony Khan has no brand split. It really isn't. Like there is a brand split somewhat, but there's a few things where you don't see it as much because they're just building from one show to the other. And 5 days or 4 days, whatever, before the next show to build up the matches, yeah, I like it. You're always building up to something. At least they're doing it over there. And other shows do the same thing. Same thing with TNA. Same thing with MLW. Same thing with everybody else. And I like that part. So what are we doing here? So let's go and play back what Seth argues is the reason why his title matters more in this case and why Cody should go ahead and face Seth.
Do you want the workhorse championship, the blue collar championship? Because that's what the World Heavyweight Championship means. It is about who is the very best between these ropes. Now I could ask Dusty, I could say which title would Dusty rather have, but we both know the answer to that, and the truth is it doesn't really matter because it's not about him. It hasn't been about him for a long time. This is about you. This is about you and your decision.
So let's take that question right there. So if it was Dusty's decision, right? I mean, Dusty was NWA champion. And you want to be the best at what you do. Seth is one of the best. But even Seth Rollins is not the best in WWE because he's not holding the belt that Roman Reigns has. The draw in the company is Roman Reigns. Period. Seth Rollins is a tremendous draw. Cody Rhodes is a tremendous draw. And either one of them with the World Heavyweight title, sure. Yeah. And he talks about later on about, that's the one that gets defended all the arenas. Yeah, that's good for the crowd. But, the fact that Roman Reigns is holding on to the title and it's special and doesn't get defended all the time, well, that worked all the time when Bruno Sammartino had it or Bob Backlund had it or Hulk Hogan had it. Yeah, it worked all the time. Like, I don't get tired of Roman Reigns being champion right now. Still not. I think the fact that he broke up the bloodline like it is, I really don't care for Jimmy being a part of it. Like, don't get me wrong. I like Jimmy Uso. I like Jay. But it's like, let's move them off their own things. Let them continue to be single stars and doing something else. Like Jay Uso's doing that right now. And we can do more with him. I mean, where Jay or Jimmy are not going after belts right now, I don't get. Like, let's get Jimmy away from Bloodline and do something else with him and let him get some feuds in. And Jay has already been doing that. Like, I want to do more of that. Right? And same with Solo. I mean, Solo and Roman and Paul is all that Roman really needs. He doesn't need everybody else. Like, I'm already tired of, Jimmy always screwing things up, yeet, whatever. Like, I don't know, let's just get all that out of the way. Come on. let's just stick with Solo being the enforcer and Paul being the mouthpiece, and then Roman, when necessary, he will speak as necessary. And I like that part. Because that should be the entourage, the ensemble that goes out there now. We don't need Jimmy to be part of all that. And then we can just leave it where then you leave it a little more open, a little more vulnerability for Roman to be beaten. Because it's time to start seeing Roman getting close to being beaten. But they're not doing that yet. They're going to have to do that. Listen, you already made the legacy for Roman. It doesn't matter. That guy is gold. Doesn't need the belt. And Roman and The Rock would overshadow any other match they could have at WrestleMania this year. We know that. For Seth Rollins, look, how many times has he opened up a show with the World Heavyweight title on the line, right? We get that too. It happens quite a bit too. It's just kind of there. And why shouldn't it be? Right? I mean, Seth wasn't involved at all at Royal Rumble. Because, no world heavyweight title. It just doesn't matter. Like, he was part into the match, but it's like, that title wasn't going to be defended at the big pay-per-view. And if it's going to be defended at the big pay-per-view at WrestleMania, it'll be the first night, not the second night. It's a consolation prize. And don't get me wrong, I'm glad that Seth is the one that's been holding on to this belt because he has made it legitimate. But it doesn't matter. I don't think it's the belt. I mean, in WWE, it's not the belt that makes the superstar. It's the superstar that makes the belt. Because that's really what it is. It really is. Like, there's a difference when you have Charlotte or Bianca Belair or Rhea Ripley holding on to one of those specific titles. Just is. If Cody's holding on to a belt, or Seth, or Roman, yeah, means a lot. Like when the Usos held the belts, the tag belts, or Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens held the belts, yeah, makes a difference. But part of this is that, there are certain stars that if you put them together, yeah, they're not going to be too much, and, it's going to go away. It's like, it's what they do. Move along now. Let's move along over into the women's side. And Bayley confronting Rhea Ripley. All I know is that with Rhea Ripley, or with Bayley, people love her. And it's like she's kind of been left held out of, right now where these titles have changed. They're no longer the red and blue. They're no longer SmackDown and Raw women's titles. Now we got this set up with the women's and the WWE Women's Champion and the World Champion. And Rhea right now holding on to the belt that she has. Yeah, everybody's really like, Rhea Ripley is like, the target. And they decided to go and create the suspicion that Io might get challenged by Bayley, and someone from Damage Control could be challenged by someone else from Damage Control, the creator of Damage Control, if you will, which is interesting. Anyway, here's what Bayley said. So here's Rhea Ripley coming down to the ring.
Aww. Bayley, do you think that you've accomplished something? That's very cute. You might have beaten my time in the Rumble, but that's only because I wasn't in it. And I see that the rest of Damage Control has gold, and if you decide to challenge me at WrestleMania, then it's going to stay that way.
Well, we didn't get Bayley's part, but I thought she was going to be added in here, but I guess the clip did not include that. That's okay. But here's what Bayley said when Nia Jax confronted her.
Yeah, I mean, if you let me finish, I was going to say I'm going to make my announcement on Friday on SmackDown. Yep. Okay.
Good idea.
So there's that. By the way, I do like Pat McAfee now being a part of Raw. Hey, it works out for him, but I guess, if he's going to be out there, and he can be permanent out there because, for him to go and do his regular ESPN show on Mondays and just do it from some other location. And, any kind of sports that he might have, which is maybe College Game Day, he's not going to be affected by that. So he can still go ahead and do what he wants. The Friday night thing was not going to work for him anyway, where things were going to set up. Because once he got the job at ESPN, that was all going to change. So that all makes sense there anyway for me. That's fine. I do want Bayley and Rhea Ripley. I think we could get that, but I think the story that they want to go ahead and have with the breakup of Damage Control 18 months later would probably be more appealing. That does make sense. Like, I mean, I get it, but I don't know what they're going to do here at this point. I just think that with the things that are going right now, you can go either way. Like, to see Bayley get her come up his back here now and get a chance to finally go ahead and say, okay, she can win something here and be a title holder again, because it's been a while to kind of see her do this. You know, we're not going to see her and Sasha Banks together again. I don't know. We're not going to see that. Just going to leave it. So anyway, let's move into the fact of the mid-card. Now, there are mid-card stars that we know of that are, you know, mainstays and all. Like, they have a history behind them, and they're not so much with the NXT stigma. LA Knight was never in NXT long enough for him to really build up the character. He just really just was a continuation of Eli Drake, as I have said over and over. And now he's basically doing the entire Eli Drake gimmick now on the main roster. He's fully there. Right? Has the dummy word coming in now, and it's like he's just doing what he did. Almost like an extension of his champagne promo and NWA Power. Okay? Just basically the same thing. Meanwhile, you know, some of the stars that Triple H brought into the company. Let me just go back to this. There are quite a few free agents that were brought in to NXT during the heralded Black and Gold 2018-2019 era, right? Undisputed era, you know, and like Mauro Ranallo yelling like crazy with Nigel McGuinness. I get it. All those were wonderful times, you know, really exciting. And so the thing was that you had all these free agents, which, by the way, anywhere else, any other roster, yeah, they would be standouts. But they're not made for this roster. And because Vince, Bruce Pritchard, and whoever else was really heading up things, and Triple H was kind of like, you know, getting some pull in here, but it really wasn't, you know, the NXT development that was done. If Vince or anybody else really cared on the main roster, if the creative team on the main roster cared, they would continue to go ahead and build and evolve the characters from what they were in NXT. Okay? Because when they get to evolve within the company, and we see this evolution in front of us, you know, the fans want to be able to go ahead and be involved and participate in the change of a character. Okay? With LA Knight, okay, he's just getting to go and add all of his other repertoire that he already had. Because it was watered down in NXT. Now he's basically doing all his shtick because he's got such a crowd response. Rhea Ripley, My Brutality, hey, the way that they treated Rhea Ripley beforehand, oh, she's tagging with, you know, Nikki Cross as a superhero, right? Nikki ASH. Or she's by herself and she doesn't matter. But then they started evolving her. Because remember, the Rhea Ripley character we have right now is not the My Brutality. She is something different. And they evolved her. And now she's like, you know, she is top female in the company. She's at the level of Becky Lynch. And the fact we don't have Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley yet, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen in there. But I would like to see Becky and Rhea. I think, you know, we already had that set up. I'd like to still see that happen. I mean, Bayley has different people that can go after her, right? But then what happens is this. Okay. Now, for Johnny Gargano, it was really big for him to go ahead and move up and to be so recognized within NXT and what they did with him. Same thing with Tommaso Ciampa, right? Oh, okay, they did the thing. Oh, look, Goldie, the belt. And those two guys fighting each other and beating the piss out of each other. Yeah, that's great. But it's telling when the fumble that they both suffered. Because, okay, even like Pat McAfee referring to the way going on over there at the Royal Rumble, was like, oh boy, that's like, or even he said, didn't he say that during, didn't he say that on Raw as well? I'm like, okay. So we get to the point of we're seeing DIY come back together, which is a step backwards because it's like, well, we have nothing for these guys. We don't trust that either of these two can do anything. Remember when they tried to go and put Tommaso Ciampa and paired him up with The Miz? Or when Tommaso Ciampa was paired up to help Dexter Lumis go after The Miz? Remember how horrible that was? People hated it. Some people were trying to get behind it because obviously there's the crowd that wants to really get behind DIY. Oh, I don't know. So we're going to let, Ciampa and Gargano, listen, put them anywhere else. TNA, they'd probably be tag team champions or competing for the tag team titles. AEW? Yeah, they'd probably also be competing for tag team titles. Or at least be in the mix. Or at least we know we see them in good matches, right? With the Acclaimed or FTR or, but maybe compete against Ricky Starks and Big Bill. I don't know. But here, Triple H, they set him up. They're going to have a tag team title match on Raw, not after Royal Rumble. You're getting an audience watching. And this is like after a lot of big segments going on with Cody and Seth and Drew and the whole deal after that. That was the match they set up after that, right? Tag team title match. And this is the promo they came out with.
This is those two 5-year-old boys that sat down watching Saturday Morning Wrestling, dreaming about this moment right here. This is about the tag team titles. This is the time we show the world who we are. We are DIY.
So they're a babyface tag team. And they got buried. They lost. I might have had a match, but you know what? Yeah. These guys are, so far into their careers, and now, okay, well, there's just this babyface tag team, like the rockers, like really young rockers, whatever, and I'm like, yeah, done. Meanwhile, these were two mainstays, the stalwarts. If I remember, yeah, these two were also very instrumental in being some of the biggest main events of NXT during that time. On the main roster? No. Not even there. Not even that part. I haven't even brought up Carmelo Hayes yet, but we're seeing Carmelo Hayes now. And let's bring up the fact that Carmelo Hayes was coming out to aid Trick Williams. And everybody was saying, oh, look at such a big pop that Trick Williams got when he came out to help. By the way, people are really into the idea that that trick, that one-dimensional, one-trick pony of an entrance, that's going to be enough for Trick Williams to really get over. Really? I can't help but look at the delusion of the audience there on NXT. I watched the promo. I'll play the Ilya Dragunov, Trick Williams promo. It sounded like a scripted promo of the, that Randy Orton would have with pick a wrestler. If you're going to tell me that Trick Williams is going to be absolute, listen, is he a good wrestler? Yeah. But after everything was going on, okay, Carmelo Hayes was the guy that you thought, well, and I can't miss. All right, good trick, good catchphrase. Oh, okay. They let him be a champion. Him and Braun Breaker, they went ahead and go at it, and it's like, and now you put Carmelo up to the main roster. He's not really mattering much. He's not over. And then Trick is there. And so let's go and play what happened here. Okay. Trick Williams comes out, and supposedly that Trick Williams comes out here, babyface fashion, and comes to the aid of Carmelo Hayes, his best buddy. And we'll talk about Ilya Dragunov trying to go and create some doubt between him and Carmelo, that there's going to be some feud between them, and that will probably cost Trick Williams the chance at winning the NXT Championship at Vengeance, right? I'm following along enough to go and keep myself familiar with what's going on here. So anyway, here's what happened here on SmackDown from Friday with, another couple of wrestlers are just kind of out here and just doing their thing with Grayson Waller.
Now Theory and poor Carmelo's.
Let me just put it like this. Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. Here's the pop for Trick Williams, supposedly.
But yes, sir! Trick Williams is here on SmackDown.
Carmelo Hayes' buddy, Trick Williams.
And Miami letting them know.
By the way, you're also looking at the fact that Trick Williams, they did this show in Miami at Kaseya Center, right? If I would have thought about going down there, I could have gone there, right? But the thing is that, yeah, the crowd They want to just chant, whoop that trick. That's all they want to do. Because they didn't respond at all to Trick Williams beating up on Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. By the way, two guys that were significant, right? I mean, Austin Theory teaming up with Grayson Waller, they're both being held down here. Like Austin Theory, when you were putting him out there and Vince McMahon was, mentoring him. Austin Theory was U.S. champion. He meant something. He was going up with some big opponents, right? Now look what we're doing, right? I mean, look what we're doing now. And Austin Theory was doing the likes of Omos and Brock Lesnar and come on. And Bobby Lashley, he was going up to bigger guys and holding his own. And Austin Theory's now relegated to this? They've made some mistakes with Austin Theory because now he's just kind of held back. But they were talking about after him beating John Cena, oh my goodness, there's the next coming of John Cena because he's looking the part, he's playing the role. Why is he being relegated back? I don't understand. To put him and Grayson Waller together, I mean, Austin Theory is trying to go ahead and attach to Grayson Waller because Grayson Waller needs the help. One-dimensional. Grayson Waller needs development. He needs to evolve. He needs what Rhea Ripley's getting. He just does. You can't just keep the NXT personas as is and think they're going to get over to this main roster crowd. It's not going to work. The main roster crowd expects more, which means we need an evolution of this character as they're on the main roster. But they're not doing that. So, we're just going to do the NXT thing. Listen, if the NXT thing was working so well, then you would be selling out Kaseya Center all the time. Okay, but, you need all the other attributes, all the other stars in the company to build up. Okay, you need Roman Reigns out there to sell out Kaseya Center. 14,000, 16,000 plus. Because if you don't, Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, they're not going to get you that. War Memorial's not back. I mean, what place are you going to sell over there? You're not. You're not even going to sell the Night Center with those guys. Because they're not over. Not to the main crowd, not to the worldwide audience, not even close. Oh, Grayson Waller will get a great response in Perth. Yeah, of course he will. But they're not doing anything with him. He's just kind of there. Okay, flowery shirts. Okay, what? Grayson Waller effect. Okay, what? You can't use the NXT persona and think you're going to get over with him. Yeah, is he a jerk? Sure. But you need to make him more than that. You need to turn the volume up to 11 to all these guys. You need to push them to a direction where, yes, they could succeed or fail. They can't just be here in this middle ground and just expect, we're going to get something out of them. No, you need to take a risk on them. Take a gamble. Triple H, I mean, the gamble was already done on some of these stars. Grayson Waller, yeah, because Vince was still around and, they didn't do much with him anyway. So, him and The Miz, come on. That's another thing. It's you're doing these things with other stars, and I'm it doesn't even work. It's come on. So Grayson Waller, you're going to put him out there, and you're going to okay, let's see what happens to them. And Trick Williams, and Austin Theory, and Carmelo Hayes. 4 examples of people that are just basically mid-carders. That if you're not trying to build them up, and look, I talk about them being in Vince's recycle bin because he put them there, and you can do what you can to try to rehabilitate them and recover them. But you need to change their characters. See, the problem is that Triple H, he's like a player's coach. He's letting them be themselves. Well, I'm sorry, but Vince was right. Maybe you need to change their gimmicks. Maybe you need to change their persona, change their colors, change something to them. But that doesn't mean you need to go and go goofy or something stupid like Vince would choose, right? Or Bruce Pritchard would choose. But you need to go and take the gimmicks. You need to go ahead and go something with that and see what happens. Because believe it or not, AEW is starting to learn that lesson. You know that? Because there's a certain level, or certain stars are going to be where they're going to be, where they're going to, well, as long as they're going to stay where they are. But nobody on this roster on the WWE side is willing to go ahead and change their character to a point to make themselves so out there and change so much. Okay, a couple of gimmicks that are working really well right now over in AEW. Timeless Toni Storm. I can't praise that woman enough. She is nothing than what she was in NXT or the main roster WWE. and what she's ever done. Like this character, it's so out there. And you know what? It could have flopped, but it didn't. Timeless Toni Storm, man, I wasn't sure where they were going to go with it. Like I saw like the Laurel Van Ness kind of character. I was like, oh boy. But you know what? It worked. And I was like, oh boy, wow. And it's held up. And they have personified and they have intensified that character. The whole black and white thing, the Deonna Purrazzo's like gimmick. I think that Deonna Purrazzo, Timeless Toni Storm match at Revolution, if they're going to do that match for the title, I love it. I love it. I love Toni Storm in this role. The other gimmick that's working for me right now, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, the executive producers, like the Young Bucks going this route, funny as shit, man. It's working for me too. I love it. And they're setting up for a great match for Sting and Darby Allin. But until then, Sting and Darby Allin are dealing with Ricky Starks and Big Bill to try to become tag team champions before they get to that match with the Young Bucks, if that's where they're eventually going to go. But I enjoy it because you know what? That's outside of the normal character. Like you're not watching, being the Elite and Young Bucks being Young Bucks. Because Young Bucks have been Young Bucks for like 20 years. So for them to go this route and like play into the whole criticism of being executive producers, yeah, I love it. I think it's one of the best things they've done for their characters. And somebody's thinking about that over there. Somebody's thinking about it. Listen, Daniel Garcia doing out with a dance. And Swerve Strickland going out with the Mogul Embassy and having, Prince Donato going out with a dance. It's working. It's working. I mean, even the whole development of the Bullet Club Gold and seeing the, shoot 'em up, bang, bang, the Bang Bang Scissor Gang kind of thing right now. That whole gimmick with the Acclaimed and Bullet Club Gold. Yeah, I'm liking that too. It's like you're letting Jay White and those folks get a little bit more into the thing because like those are two over factions right now. It's working. Because, by the way, I'll even say this too. With Roderick Strong in Undisputed, like you change him into this like, a narcissistic, like just manipulative character. And he's just like this weird wacko, like psychopath, but it works. But at least they're doing characters that are outside of their normal, comfort zone. They're not just going to be, oh, this is just me. Like, let me just be cool. Cool for school doesn't work. Maybe some of the roster is going to like that, but you got to get yourself out there and break out of your shell. Why do you think that R-Truth, when he was, Raw the Truth Killings, man, it worked. And the guy was just badass wrestler, man. Whatever they did put him in. But the R-Truth character now, and moving him along and become this comedy character, it doesn't get old. You understand that? It doesn't get old. This guy, more of the same like shtick, the Tom and Nick stuff and the, the JD McDonald's, like all of that. It's too bad they decided to go and destroy it, but they decided to destroy it. But man, does that work for me? I love that kind of shit. And I think the fans like that kind of thing. But no one's doing that right now at all. No one. So you think that, Trick Williams, he's going to act all cool with Carmelo Hayes. We're like, these two, like, whatever. And they're going to, like, get out there and do something. It doesn't work. Anyway, let's play the rest of this clip with the 4 mid-carders here that they're fumbling with.
True friends in WWE are tough to come by. And I'll say to you, you have a matchup. Well, interesting.
So the whole thing is they're putting up an NXT storyline that people are probably not even paying attention to. Like, I get what they're doing, but it's like, okay, they feel like, the NXT story and the show about that is making much of a difference. Listen, no. NXT gets what a third of the audience that Raw gets and a fourth of the audience that SmackDown gets. All right? The thought that NXT is like really doing something so special that's going to really like build out and makes people really care and make it important, it's not happening yet. Okay? It's just not. You can hope for it, you can try for it, but it's not. So I don't know what you're going to think about that, but like seriously. And if I want to just keep looking and see what they're going to do in terms of setting things up for, NXT to make us really care. Well, look, NXT is starting to get a little bit of a weakness right now. okay, Braun Breaker put a rocket on his backpack, but you know what? They did not develop the wrestler. Braun Breaker just can't, like, okay, you couldn't, I understand that they wanted to change his name. They didn't want to make him, keep him a Steiner. Fine. You don't let him even be like a Scott Steiner. Fine. But I need to go and say this too. Now, Scott Steiner was Scott Steiner for like the longest time. Dark hair, whatever, like, you know, the big powerhouse. But man, when he decided to go and change the Big Papa Pump, that's out there, okay? Flamboyant with the vest thing, whatever that thing is, like the chain thing he would wrap around him, like whatever. And the freaks, like, you know, come on, man. That shit was funny. And like, he went out there and he was loud as shit, and people he got over, man. I remember watching it on WCW. I was like, man, is that going to really work? It did. And Scott Steiner, man, overnight, like, reinvented himself. And I'm like, shit, this shit works, man. And we're all like, all it was Scott Steiner. He didn't give a shit, man. And we loved it. It was great. So, Braun Breaker, Baron Corbin, and then Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. Got it. But it's like, okay, you know, they made so many mistakes with Baron Corbin too. But let's just make that point. The Happy Corbin thing was a mistake. It was kind of funny, but like, they could have gone more with it. But like, also, like, Baron Corbin has to still kind of play too cool for school. I don't know. I did like him as general manager. I thought he was not that bad as that. I thought it was kind of interesting. It was a real prick, but you know, Baron Corbin, they don't want to do anything more with him and change his himself out there. But that's the NXT thing as well. And Braun Breaker, like, we can't do something more with him. Like, Braun Breaker, you know, he's a Steiner. Let this guy go nuts. Like, why are we not letting this guy go out there and like just be completely reckless and wild? And like this incredibly uncontrollable beast. They don't want to do that to him either. Like, I don't get that part. Like, Braun Breaker should give me like a Brock Lesnar kind of vibe. He really should, but he doesn't. And it sucks to see that. Carmelo Hayes, you know, he looks like an NBA player. Like, you know, okay, he's kind of there, but it's like, I wish it was something more. Like, and I'm not trying to go and like expect them to do some kind of stereotype or something like that, but give me something more. Give me something more. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't work. Neither one of those two. I just feel like Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams right now are interchangeable. At first, Carmelo Hayes and then Trick Williams was just like the bodyguard, and now they just switch it up. Okay. Kind of felt like AJ Styles and Matt Morgan. Remember when they had that dynamic and Matt Morgan was out there kind of like just as an enforcer? But it doesn't really make much difference. It's just what it is. And that's the part I want to just figure out. Like, let me tell you, Ilya Dragunov and Trick Williams and the setup for their match, like, that shit also was just annoying. I got to play that before I wrap things up because it was also it just sucked. It really did suck. I did not like that much at all. But I'll go ahead and play it for you just so you see where I'm coming from, so you know where I'm coming from at all, okay? Because I really do feel like if we go back and talk about what they set up with that match, it didn't do anything for me. Like, what a scripted promo. Like, honestly, I couldn't even finish the whole promo. But we're going to put it back here. Here we go. I'll put it back here. So, all of this, when I looked at it, I was just like, so scripted. And like the crowd, hey, God bless you for trying to make things like important with these guys. But like, really, I can't get much into it. Like, I hate the respect and all this. And, you know. But anyway, Dragunov talking to Trick Williams, and these guys talking back to each other. It just sucks. But I'll play it for you, and we'll call and comment on it. Here we go.
You are ready to fight on Sunday, aren't you? So trust me, so am I. I'm ready to fight for my life against the hottest WWE superstar. We will whoop that trick.
But the crowd's just eating up like by clapping seals. It doesn't make a difference. So Trick does the same thing with
Maybe
Carmelo.
not this time.
Same thing.
Dragunov, I think you're even smarter than you look. It's funny that you refer to yourself as a czar, Because if there's one thing that I know about a czar, is that they're willing to do anything, and I do mean anything, to stay on top.
So, Trick, what's the point you want to make here? Because I have the feeling that you have some kind of voice in your head that is giving you really, really bad advice. So maybe you shouldn't let Carmelo color your judgment with wrong informations, and maybe you should remind yourself that our relationship is built on respect.
Respect.
This is that atypical swill of scripted promo that, you know, you could have given to me like 10 years ago that I hate. I hate with a passion. But they're doing it because NXT, they're trying to build these guys up. So don't tell me these two are ready for prime time. Okay, did they wrestle well in the ring? Yes. I'm not denying that. But take away the whole Ilya Dragunov and the orchestra conducting thing in his entrance, or Trick Williams and whoop that trick, and what do you got? Don't tell me what you got. I mean, there's not much there. More to the promo here.
Over again, and this is the way you talk to me? I know you would never face me at less than 100%, wouldn't you?
You're right, Dragunov. You did push me to the next level. But you also pushed this match back just so you know that I would be double booked.
Yes, Trick. Yes, that was my master plan. Genius, right? I didn't force you to accept. I offered you the biggest match at the biggest stage, and you took it. Yes, I'm so sorry. And yes, I played mind games. But with Baron Corbin, because he made stuff very, very personal. But let me know one thing. Is it my mistake that you are a victim of your own success? That you and Melo burned your path through the Dusty Cup? That you both rightfully have the place at the final of the tournament? Is that my mistake? Maybe, just maybe you should be more concerned about Melo. Because at the past weekends at the Royal Rumble, he had this moment in the sun, and now he needs you. He needs you for further glory, and you need to really focus on yourself on Sunday.
Whoa. Don't be worried about my focus.
This is so cringy. I mean, look, I wanted to be legit. I wanted to feel like it's actually coming out of his mouth, but like it's script. It's theater. And I thought we don't want that. And also, you would like the words to be better. So there's even a better way to get around here. Oh, and I played mind games. Like, come on. But the fans can't help themselves and just go on and say, well, listen, when Vince used to do it, oh, we would shit all over it. But no, it's because of Shawn and Triple H. Oh, we can't shit on it now. So what's it going to be? I'm going to say consistent on this program. If it's shit, it's shit. Okay, if the mid-card sucks, I'm going to say it. But I don't want it to be this way. I've just made an explanation as to what they could be doing. They need to go ahead and, they need to be taking some lessons from everywhere else. Okay? It just needs to happen. I mean, I want to try to give some other, like there's some other things you could be doing to change things up to some of the stars on the roster here and become something else. Because Trick Williams can't be Trick Williams when he moves up to the main roster and you can expect him just to get over just like that. Because it's not going to happen. There needs to be something more to the character. There should have been something more to Grayson Waller. There should be something more to, Carmelo Hayes. Austin Theory, they were getting to somewhere with him. He was basically the chosen one. They decided to go not that route. But everyone else that ever made themselves on that main roster right now, they had to undergo changes. Let's just go through a couple just for example. Listen, Rhea Ripley went through major changes to be where she is right now. Let's go to, Nia Jax. No, she's just like it's a different story with her. Irresistible Force, it still works. For me, it still does, because just like, she's just a standout. She's larger than life. And I'm not saying it as a bad thing. Hell, I think she's gorgeous. I'm just saying. Never. But like, think about it. Bayley has gone through significant change, from being what she was before as the babyface. Becky Lynch has gone through a lot of changes to become where she is as the man. Bianca Belair, also just a unique one of a kind. Like, it factor. And like I said, there's just some stars that are going to have it factor. They're going to be like, you know what? You're going to be able to keep them as they are, and they're just going to be just unstoppable. I think Mandy Rose would have had a chance. Like, when she changed her gimmick, she changed herself from the, the Golden Goddess to, Toxic Attraction. Yeah, that change was going to be enough to make her a big star. And it didn't happen. Tiffany Stratton's gimmick already is like so out there, and so like the clueless part, like it's, it's like Mean Girls to a point, and like, yeah, that still does work. So like, she's going to do well. I think she'll do just fine. And Roxanne Perez, I think, also has that it factor. I just think she does. I don't know what else you do, but like, okay, Xia Li hasn't really done much to really build herself out to anything. Piper Niven? No. I mean, Chelsea Green is Chelsea Green right now, but you know what? She's gone out there and done some other characters that were really out there. Laurel Van Ness was a great character in TNA. Just wish she still could have done that. Hell, man, you see Jordan Grace, who came out during Royal Rumble, and look, she's gone through her own changes. First of all, she physically changed herself, but she's also gone through some evolving of her change. Like, she's not just, what was it they used to always call her? Like, I'm not Big Pump, but what was it called? I forget what it's now. I'm not thinking about it right now. But either which way, she's become the powerhouse, and now she's just like, evolved character. And it goes for others the same way. It's like, you got to evolve these characters. They got to have gimmick changes. And sometimes they got to be out there, and you're going to feel like a little uncomfortable. You think it's not going to work, but you do. Hey, Seth Rollins, great fucking example. Seth Rollins changed himself to most extreme. He took the Monday Night Messiah example and went out there, and now he's like this ridiculously flamboyant, ridiculous character, with the chant, and it works. Cody changed himself several times. Dashing, Stardust, and then he comes back and he becomes like, the version of himself, the AEW version of himself, right? It's like the American Nightmare, but change after change after change. And eventually you get there. Drew McIntyre had to go through a change, and he got there. Bobby Lashley had to go through a change, and he got there. Like, think about that. They all have to go through significant changes on the main roster. People need to see the organic change going on. So Trick Williams, Ilya Dragunov, Grayson Waller, Austin Theory, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, all these others. Karrion Kross, you just can't, so Karrion Kross is going to do like the same TikTok gimmick, whatever, that he did before, but without the glasses and the bald head and the trench coat. It's going to still be another variation of it. It's going to be still him and Scarlett. We're not moving into something more. We're not evolving the character. And don't get me wrong, I like Karrion Kross, but you can't just keep doing the same thing that works because it's just your cool gimmick. No, you got to branch yourself out. Now, I'm not going to tell you to go and put on another, whatever that gimmick that he had on before with the helmet. I would not say do that again because that didn't make any sense. But that was a mistake. But the idea to make a switch to him, yeah, that makes sense. That's just what needs to happen. It's got to be some changes. That's the show for tonight. And I appreciate all of you listening to my diatribe, and, we'll move along once again as it is. We'll see how NXT Vengeance goes on. We'll see what SmackDown does, and we'll move on, and we will follow along the track. But I hope you appreciate where I was coming from with all this here and all the points I tried to make tonight. Because I really mean it. I want the best for the WWE, but you know what? The mid-card needs to do better. And Triple H needs to go and start pulling the trigger on some more out there, outlandish gimmicks that will work. They just can't be all cool for school. Anyway, come back for another Wrestling Goes Wrong podcast next week because wrestling needs us.